UN Tourism Secretary-General elections have heroes, crooks and followers. UN Tourism promotes responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism, emphasizing its role as a driver of economic growth and inclusive development. Who are the heroes of the UN Tourism Executive Council? Heroes in the upcoming election are delegates, such as tourism ministers, allowed to vote independently from outside influence, such as backroom deals by their foreign ministry, resisting corruption and favoritism, and putting travel and tourism interests first. Such heroes will feel no shame for their honest vote. Heroes understand their vote is not only shaping their personal legacy, but the future of tourism and the economy behind it, for their country, and those countries they represent as a trusted member of the UN Tourism Executive Council. Crooks are in for themselves, and the future May judge followers can easily be convinced and manipulated and are immune to the needs of the sector they may represent in their country or region. Current candidates competing to become UN Tourism Secretary-General in 2026. The next Secretary-General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, now known as UN Tourism, will be chosen from 6 candidates, including the incumbent Zurab Pololikashvili. Frontrunners are Gloria Guevara Manzo, Mexico, and Harry Theoharis, Greece. Zurab Pololikashvili, Georgia. The current Secretary-General is seeking a third term, which, according to all other candidates and many others, is a manipulation of the UN system designed to share the leading position and a 2-time maximum term. He said, UN tourism is leading the way forward in growing investments into the tourism sector. We serve as the bridge between investors and destinations, and we guide investments where they will have the biggest impact in making tourism more resilient, inclusive and sustainable. What results besides conferences, statements, and reports can he show based on his words? iturbonews.com. Gloria Guevara. Gloria Guevara Manzo, Mexico, former Minister of Tourism from Mexico and ex-CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, WTTC. Gloria Guevara Manzo, leading tourism into a sustainable future. Button text. Experienced leadership for United Mission. A bold vision for tourism's future. Learn more. Candidate for Secretary-General of UN Tourism Gloria Guevara, global leader in tourism and iturbonews.com. Harry Theoharis, Greece. Former Greek tourism and finance minister during the COVID crisis, and former member of the Sustainable Tourism Panel in Saudi Arabia under Ahmed bin Akal al-Khatib, the Minister of Tourism for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. iturbonews.com. Candidate for UN Tourism Secretary-General, official website of Harry Theoharis. Candidate for Secretary-General of UN Tourism Harry Theoharis, delivered a strong message during an in-depth interview with CNN's Richard Quest. The time for change in. Harry Theoharis and Gloria Guevara connected in Saudi Arabia on sustainable tourism. Harry Theoharis and Gloria Guevara were members of the Sustainable Tourism Global Center, STGC, under the leadership of Gloria Guevara, when she was a former top advisor of Ahmed bin Akal al-Khatib, the Minister of Tourism for Saudi Arabia. They are both seen in this photo. iturbonews.com. Habib Amar, Tunisia. Habib Amar, Tunisia, former Tunisian Minister of Tourism. Mr. Amar told an ETN reporter he had no comments because the Foreign Ministry of Tunisia is in charge. iturbonews.com. Sheikha Al Nawais, UAE. A private sector executive from the Rodana Group family. She has not yet agreed to an interview with eTurbo News, but issued a press release last week, when she spoke at the International Hospitality Investment Forum, IHIF, in Berlin. Sheikha Al Nawais, candidate for Secretary-General of the UN World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, underscored the critical role of private sector leadership in shaping the future of global tourism. iturbonews.com. Ambassador Mohammed Adam, Ghana. President Mahama rallies support for Mohammed Adam's bid for UN Tourism Organization bid. President John Dramani Mahama has rallied support for the candidature of Mr. Mohammed Adam, a Ghanaian diplomat, for the position of Secretary-General of the United Nations Tourism Organization, UNWTO. The UN Tourism Secretary-General election process. The UNWTO Executive Council will vote by secret ballot to nominate one candidate, May 28 to 30, 2025. The full membership will confirm the nominee at the General Assembly in November 2025 in Riyadh. Key considerations: international collaboration and sustainability. Guevara's experience in the private sector and international collaboration are key strengths, as are her impressive number of private and public sector endorsements. Technological innovation and sustainability. Thea Harris's focus in these areas and his urgent call to reform and perform or fade into irrelevance is all timely. Institutional strengthening. Pololikashvili's focus on continuing initiated projects, which he tries to sell as strengthening the organization. Regional dynamics. Africa is fielding two candidates, but also voiced endorsement for both Guevara and Theoharis. Latin America is rallying behind Guevara. Theoharis recently spoke at the European Union, while Guevara gained good support in a not-so-united Europe. Gender representation. UNWTO has never been headed by a woman, and Guevara's candidacy could address this. Private sector support. UNWTO has affiliated members in the private travel and tourism industry. A candidate familiar of how this sector works and their needs may have an advantage. A united stand against Pololikashvili by competing candidates for UN Tourism's Secretary General. The third term of the current Secretary General, Zurab Pololikashvili, has raised more than one eyebrow. Gloria Guevara and Harry Theoharis are competing in speaking up and openly questioning the legitimacy of Pololikashvili's candidacy and why the three other candidates have remained neutral so far. Is this another manipulation attempt by Pololikashvili to get more candidates into the race to increase his chances? Pololikashvili's consistent manipulation of the UNWTO system since 2017, including changing the name from UNWTO to UN Tourism to hide some of the dark activities, has made UN Tourism an authoritative organization. Iterbonews.com. Pololikashvili criminal investigations. Pololikashvili has made the news in a major criminal probe in Spain. His involvement in the probe involved Air Europe and underworld figures, some of them behind bars. He used his diplomatic network to appoint a questionable character as a Georgian diplomat. Iterbonews.com. Changing the rules during COVID to assure his re-election. Iterbonews.com. Pololikashvili tried to get him appointed for a third term at the previous UNWTO General Assembly without an election, but he failed. A request from Chile on the sidelines, unnoticed by many delegates attending the Uzbekistan General Assembly, allowed Pololikashvili to compete in a third term for Secretary General. Pololikashvili is ignoring and not even commenting on the letters presented by two previous Secretary Generals, who now want him out. Pololikashvili is promising positions in UN tourism and regional centers. Pololikashvili is opening regional centers that cost host countries $3 million without transparent accounting. Such centers had been promised to countries that promised to vote for him in the upcoming UN Tourism Executive Council election. Rumors of substantial kickbacks may be closing in on some ministers. Pololikashvili's purpose is to get re-elected, get participating ministers, delegates, dependent on him, and one should come to a more conclusive conclusion when following the money. It's not fully clear what the benefit is for such a center in a digitally global world. Saudi Arabia invested $5 million in UNWTO and opened a regional center in the kingdom several years ago. No important activities are reported. Is Pololikashvili using UN funds to campaign? Pololikashvili has been seen visiting and promising UN Tourism Executive Council member countries. He has been using UN tourism funds to travel and campaign, including for others who joined him. Pololikashvili's family vacation in the Maldives and his luxury real estate retreat, which he now owns in the Dominican Republic, is only one of the surprising personal achievements, considering the salary UN tourism is paying him. One only has to follow the money. The Chinese plus role? Pololikashvili was a guest at the BOA Forum, an international political and economic gathering through which the Chinese Communist Party seeks to expand its global influence. It was held on Hainan Island between March 25 and 28. BOA Forum for Asia BFA 29. Sources tell ETN that China is actively campaigning for Pololikashvili, using its investment and lending power in developing countries. Iterbonews.com. The Objective newspaper in Spain reported, the former Spanish Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero has been intensifying his lobbying efforts to support the candidacy of Georgian Zurab Pololikashvili. Pololikashvili has counted among his friends Begoña Gómez, wife of PM Pedro Sánchez, broker Victor Daldama, and Javier Hidalgo, former CEO of Globalia, Air Europa. The two met last week at the BOA Forum, organized by Beijing and seeking to become an Asian-style Davos Forum. There, Zapatero introduced him to the highest echelons of the Chinese communist regime. Zapatero has all doors open in China. At the same time, Zapatero's meetings in Spain with Chinese business leaders and politicians intensified in recent months. We must keep in mind that in China, business leaders are politicians, explain the sources consulted. They cite as an example the meeting he held in BOA with Song Haoyang, secretary of the CCP of China Energy Engineering Corporation, the state-owned energy conglomerate of the Asian giant. The African vote in Morocco, Ghana, Cape Verde, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Mozambique, Morocco, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Zambia will be key to Zurab's survival in office. According to The Objective, Zapatero has already begun working to secure that support thanks to the influence of China. Bulgaria, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Zurab's native Georgia represent an almost certain vote, and so is Iran. Their public agendas at the China meeting did not overlap, and they did not participate in any event together, nor were they photographed together by the Chinese organization. However, according to business sources who confirmed to The Objective, the two did meet away from the spotlight. Pololikashvili was accompanied by former FC Barcelona president Joan Gaspart, an advisor to the Georgian for years and also a good friend of the socialist leader. Official FC Barcelona website. Official FC Barcelona website. All news about the team, ticket sales, member services, supporters club services and information about Barca and the club. Zurab Pololikashvili and Donald Trump have a lot in common. UN Tourism Secretary General Zurab Pololikashvili and US President Donald Trump have much in common. Pololikashvili has built a team of associates and staff at UN Tourism loyal to him personally. From the day he took office January 2018, Pololikashvili banned media that were not clearly supporting him. He banned media such as eTurbo News from all UNWTO events. Pololikashvili has run an organization built on bullying and creating fear among those who remained and talked to eTurbo News, but don't want to be officially named. Information from a reliable source within UN Tourism had leaked that Pololikashvili is furious and aggressive about the resistance he experienced, but told some of his staff he would only laugh about what he sees in eTurbo News. He said he was there to stay, and candidates like Gloria Guevara have no idea. Cocaine. In addition to reliable reports, there are rumors. Rumors start when someone avoids telling the facts, fears accountability, and plays with fair cards. One of these rumors is that Pololikashvili fired his driver, who was related to the former Air Europe chief and failed to take care of Pololikashvili's alleged cocaine demand. The urgent questions for all 5 candidates running against the current SG. When will UNCAC be asked to investigate UN Tourism and the leader behind it? UNCAC United Nations Convention Against Corruption. United Nations Convention Against Corruption.